As we have got in the top right-hand side from the Shopify Rebellion, this is Scarlett.
游戏暂停。
It's a pause from Cyan. Just to let you guys know for sure, no doubts about it, this one is absolutely a live matchup. No replay for match number 2. Okay, I don't want to hear any complaints in the chat. Okay, we're back to being live. And look how live it is. We get to look at this beautiful break screen and wait. We'll do that together, I suppose.
游戏恢复。
Oh, there we go. We resume, just change the scene again. And we are away, friends. Off, away, into the distance. And let's see what wonderful ZVP things will happen in this matchup now, as we get this started. So we're going to start up on Glitter and Ashes. It's already kind of a nice large map for the Zerg, but it does mean that it's a nice large map for the Protoss as well. That does kind of work two ways in this matchup, and it means the chances of playing something along the lines of a, you know, like a Stargate style into like carriers very quickly and so on, that rises a lot when you're playing on a map like Glitter and Ashes. So if that's something Cyan wants to tap into, then it absolutely is a possibility. It's something he can 100% look toward here. So yeah, that's 100% an option for him as we do drop a Nexus down. Just see where we will go. Obviously, Scarlett, when it comes to ZVP, sometimes she'll be very aggressive, very cheeky, very cheesy even. Sometimes she'll be a bit more passive, a little bit more just kind of casual about it, and kind of like this game, and just be happy to let it go kind of more macro right from the start. Because when I'm saying cheesy, I'm thinking like she proxy hatches. She, you know, she has no fear in just kind of going all out for a lot of the time. So, yeah, intrigued to see what the plan here becomes from Scarlett. I think on this map, obviously big map, we do expect to probably just approach the macro game, but we'll see, because I wonder if she wants to play against like a full-on Sky Toss setup or so, if she maybe tries to do something which allows her to avoid that a little bit. Actually is a pretty good question. I think that one's a definitely going to create some intrigue. We've seen a couple of Lings chasing that probe down. We see now our Overlord scouting in, obviously gets confirmation it's a Stargate. Even gets to see it's an Oracle on the way, so you get that info pretty much straight away here. That's obviously quite nice to know right from the start. I see now our feelings moving around the map, and Evolution Chamber coming through, so we are going to be seeing Scarlett immediately setting up for some potential upgrades in this, and we'll obviously be able to take it from there once those upgrades are coming into play. So with the fast Evo, you expect probably just a melee upgrade, and then maybe like a Ling style, maybe just very Ling Bane aggression focused, maybe into, you know, Aspire even on a map like this. Now, of course, it is a Stargate opener, so whenever you're playing against a Stargate, you got to know that that Stargate is going to be a factor in your choices, and that means if you do end up playing Spire eventually, you're playing Spire into someone that has the potential to at least make Phoenix. That doesn't mean you can't, or you don't want to go for the mutas. It just means that it's not like they open Twilight and they have absolutely zero way to kind of build Phoenix out of nowhere. It's just worth keeping in mind on that, as they are going to a good Oracle count as well, as the two already up are going to find 3-4 workers. A lot of damage taken on one of them though. Adepts show up in the third base at the same time, and Scarlett doesn't immediately look ready to deal with that. So this is maybe not looking too hot just yet, as 7 drones have gone down. We do start cleaning this up. Yeah, for 7 drones, I guess the Adepts didn't do much, really, because the 4 drones went down to the Oracles, and the Adepts only really killed 3 extra, and that's kind of a few Adepts to let die, but only, 3 extra drones, right? So, not a big fan of that. And I don't feel like the Adepts caused the Queens to be out of position for the Oracles either. It felt like it was more the other way. It felt like the Oracles were meant to be more the distraction for the Adepts to then get into position, and that just never really happened. So, yeah, I mean, it's still nice damage, don't get me wrong. It's just, was it worth kind of committing all those units in, because those are less units you now have for the future? Yeah, I mean, it might be. A lot of the time, your main game plan here when you're playing against a Zerg is just any drones you can kill is good. It slows them down. They have to refocus and build them again, and then eventually you can kind of come back up with your own army looking stronger and stronger, and maybe then do something with that. So, take some choices or some opportunities, as we do have our Oracles. Just gonna turn back to the upper right hand side. This one wants to come in, drops down a Revelation. Keeping an eye on things at the moment here. Yeah, we're actually gonna recall all the way out of there, and Cyan is gonna get a little view of this base. In the end, it was that melee upgrade, but we're not gonna see a Spire at all. We are gonna move into Hydra, so it'll be a Ling Bane Hydra with melee upgrades. In that case, the Hydras are usually kind of a supporting unit, right? They say at the back, they're the kind of bulkier thing that will deal damage throughout. So a lot of it really does come down to the Zerglings here, and we'll see just how they could do as we do clean up some group spread with Oracles. Blink Stalkers are not quite Blink Stalkers yet. They are missing the Blink aspect of that. So once that is done, that will be very nice to have up and running. But like I say, it's just not quite there yet, as the couple of Brick units continue to fall. We're now going to start killing off some of these Queens, so picking away through that. And these Lings are going to run straight into a stasis. Counterattack? With the Stalk, we might be able to get through over there. It's one of those ones where it's like you're not really too sure exactly how it's going to end up. Just going to watch him with a little bit of apprehension as to how exactly it maybe goes down, but it seems like it's going to be alright for the most part. It's just going to be seen how if he's still hanging around in the upper right. And, oh, Ling's getting caught in the stasis again, though. That's annoying, as the Hydras are coming through to the center of the map as well. So all of the Ling's Hydras just coming across. I mean, Scarlett's droning up further, so she is going to be on a good drone count. This is not a time in which wants to win the game right here and now. Might want to deal some damage now, but you're not relying on winning the game right now, and that's obviously the main difference. There are absolutely builds right now where you could have been caught on 55, 56 workers, and then you really are looking to win the game with this attack. But like I say, that's just not going to be the case here, so no concern about that for the moment, at least. Those extra Banes still just morphing on through and joining up with the rest of the Ling Hydra force. +2 attack, +1 armor coming in on the forges. We do see charges continuing in as well in the Twilight Council. Not be too far from finishing up. Banes is going to settle out the front as well, so they're just going to be waiting for their chance to maybe get something done. A single Stalker comes through, pushes that Zergling away. And charges. Seemingly just a few moments from finishing. That's obviously going to be a big additional aid to anything that Cyan wants to do in this matchup. I mean, charge just opens up a huge new door for harassment with those Zealots and so on. And even in the army, he's getting a few Zealots in once the Banes are gone. We know that that can be very, very good as well. So, a lot of potential across the board right now. As Prism loads a few Zealots up once again here. It's going to be looking to work from that. Yeah, stays to ward off over to the side, and more Ling's Banes on the top. Gathering together. In the middle of the map, there is a group of units that are going to get chased away. The few Lings and Hydras beginning to run after that there. Oh, my goodness, that was a loud group of Zealots dying as the Banes crashed into them. Here comes Zealots in the main base as well. Cyan looking to try and get a lot done. So these Zealots are starting to go a little crazy here as these Banes will move through, looking to try and pick up some kills. We're going to crash in on a few Zealots. Nothing really too wild, though. Not for the moment. Yeah, I mean, well defended by Scarlett. Obviously, when Zealots come into your base like that, it can very easily go very wrong very quickly, right? So Scarlett just holding her own there, able to stand up strong and say, no, not happening this time. And yeah, just turns that around very comfortably. It's got to feel good right now for Scarlett. She is maxed out and absolutely is wanting to create some fights. And this is going to be how she does it. She's going to Bane drop at the same time. These Banes, obviously with +2 melee, will just insta-kill probes. 17 probes going down. I mean, yeah, that's one way to start this off, no doubt. We have got a Hydra Bane on this side, but a couple of Colossi will actually be pretty good against Hydra Bane. So that is actually intriguing because it kind of puts you in this position where it's like, oh, all of a sudden it's, you know, all of a sudden this Hydra Bane maybe can't do as much very easily or as quickly as Scarlett would like, but she's getting the economic damage done. The most important thing is she's shutting down economy, 31 probes going down. As long as she does that, she can basically throw units at her opponent as much as she would like to. So that definitely seems like a big initial part of the plan here. As you have the run through, the Bane's going to crash in, cannon goes down, everything else starting to go down. Also going to be seeing these couple of Colossi getting caught as well as the Hydras move up this ramp. Oh, we get it! Colossus goes down. The DT is still coming through and fighting away. Really just chipping their way through all of this kind of Ling Bane. So, a lot of Ling Bane being picked away at Cyan he has done okay counterattacking, but again, a lot of these units are going to get cleaned up now, and as they die off, Scarlett definitely comes out better, you know, in a better way with the remnants of the armies. She has 30 more drones to rebuild with, and her army supply is a little bit ahead. It's only improving too, because that hive is now about to finish, and that hive is going to give her access to, well, of course, the Vipers. And Vipers are going to be massive against these Colossi. Abducting them in is going to be very powerful. Completely removes the strength of the Colossi, being able to just look at the back and, you know, do well from over there. Going to be able to do that in the slightest, so you know, that's definitely going to make a notable difference for sure. I gotta say, a little bit worried for Cyan right now, as Scarlett is maybe not remaxing as quickly as I thought she would, but she's still on a worker lead. Has the spine and sport defense against the single DT up here, so single DTs just aren't going to cut it in terms of really finding openings. That's okay. Single DTs don't necessarily need to kind of be the be-all and end-all of this. They can be okay, just kind of pop it in, seeing if they can do something. If not, then back away and maybe wait for some reinforcements. Things again just get through, but only 4 probes this time, so maybe not as successful as we've seen before. There's actually only a queen left over here. Scott has got the lurkers up too. I said Vipers. Have we seen Vipers build yet? I believe we have not. If she just wants to go into lurker upgrades, I'm kind of shocked. Like I say, the Vipers are, to me, absolutely the main thing to kind of go for, especially when Colossi are up. It's not necessarily just about what she's playing, but also what our opponent currently has on the map. And again, the Colossi should be a heavy sign to get some Vipers out and to kind of work from there, right? Yeah, thank you so much, Rack, for the 6-month resub on the Prime. Keep up the awesome work. Thank you so much for supporting, and we absolutely will do. Thank you very, very much indeed. There's an extra round of Zealots warping in, so it's going to be a lot of Zealots coming from the left side of this base in the very near future. And we see Bane's, Hydra's, Lurkers all continuing to move around, and I mean, huge amount of Zealots going to hit this base. Then Scarlett actually has to pull probably the majority of her army back to deal with that, so not ideal, not what you want to be doing. You know, running back home and defending is going to give your opponent time to do as they wish as well, which is obviously not fun for you. It really gives the Protoss maybe a road back into this game, or a path back into this game at the very least. Got maxed out. She just wants to fight, fight, fight. I know she's got lurker upgrades coming in, but she doesn't seem to be too bothered about that for the most part. As the lurkers burrowing up, Stalkers kind of walk into those lurkers initially. A couple of these lurkers going down. Hydra picked off. Bailing drop again. She's been so consistent with these bailing drops. There are a couple of Vipers. There were some Vipers made. We chose the Blinding Cloud there, though. Now we abduct. I mean, did we abduct because we just felt there was too many Colossi to abduct before? I feel like abducting is almost always better against Colossus, even if there's like a lot of them, because Blinding Clouds, Colossi are so far away, it feels you can Blinding Cloud them forwards and they can still just kind of walk forwards and not be in too much trouble. Anyway, not really too meaningful because overall Cyan's numbers have still dropped, and Scarlett just needs a way to try and really close this game out, which is maybe not happening as easily as she wants it to. She did lose a lot of Lurkers in that last fight. The Colossus, I mean, it was 5 Colossi lasering down those Lurkers, so... yeah. 11 new Lurkers coming through, and can you imagine that that's going to be enough to really just bust Cyan down once and for all? And Cyan has been playing the low eco game for the longest of times now. His economy has been behind and just permanently in a state of trying to catch up. Obviously far from ideal. Storm is chrono boosting out. That's a nice, I mean, that's a really nice addition to get, especially when it's been so Ling Bane focused, but obviously it's just so late for that to now start coming through. It's a lot of Lurkers. I mean, Storm's still nice. Just imagine if you had Storm for some of the earlier fights. Obviously, just having Storm means you're probably going to have High Templar as well, so you can feed back those Vipers. Just because you naturally have Templar in the army now, so that's also a little bit of a benefit. So you abduct, and those couple of Disruptors. You chase down a little bit there. Disruptor shots going off, and the Lurkers get chased away. Viper goes down as well. I see 34 more Zerglings on the way through the Spire building also, so all of this coming up at the moment. Colossi there, and immediately these Lurkers have to turn around and run right from the start, so they're going to back it up. And a bunch of spines still continuing through as well. As you can see, these Lurkers are setting up. One Lurker does get taken down. Now the rest of this Ling Bane Lurker force turn around this left-hand side, so in we go. Try and make a play here, perhaps. Polar probes getting blasted. 12 workers going down. There's a few Zealots going to go after the evolution chambers here. Carapace upgrade going to be denied. And again, it's just that harassment that Cyan has kind of lent on the entirety of this game, just to try and somewhat stay in this, if at all possible. Bane's coming through, probes are going down, just going to be seeing the Red Spire starting up. 52 additional Banes are all coming in here. As the +3 missile upgrade is about halfway done right now. We are going to see that Lurk on the top side getting taken down. Big Storms going to get rid of a lot of the Banes. Can Scarlett just not deal with this army? I mean, her harassment has been great, but she has to at some point kill this army. And I mean, those Storms were so good on the Banelings. I mean, those Banelings were bruised coming out of that fight. If they were left alive, they definitely weren't in a healthy state. Lurker Harass is being dealt with by DTs. Burrowed versus Stealth. This, man, Disruptor shots are great there. I don't know if that Colossus dies. It's going to just go down. It was just about to get to range. And good Disruptor shots. Dead center on these Lurkers. And Scarlett has less army supply. Can she really just not deal with this force? I mean, it's so frustrating. She just needs to clean out this army, and again, you probably win, I want to say. Obviously, it's no guarantee, but everything in this army with the Protoss is so tech heavy. Obviously helps out massively, as these Lurkers were about to die in the Overlords. They drop down. They actually will find a position to just be annoying in for the final few moments. The DTs come over, and that will be the end of these Lurkers, but I mean, nice to get as much done as possible. Apparently, one of them gets to stay alive there. Finally, some observers pop over, and that's the detection needed to remove them. Additional broods coming in. A couple of Archons still escaping out. Here, the Banes gonna crash into the left side. Couple of structures. The static defense getting chipped away at. Far side just pick away at some of these changelings here as well. So getting rid of a lot of those changelings. The broodlords will start morphing up on the high ground, and again, extra broods will join up, move together, and try possibly go through this army. Couple shots fire and a few Banes behind us getting chipped away at as well. Again, this entire force coming through. I mean, what Scarlett's trying to do is to make our army as scary as possible, start pushing into it. Cyan is just never going to have a good time, and I do think she is beginning to get there. Before it looked as though Cyan was kind of able to just throw disruptors out and everything all the time and look good. But a few broods do help a lot just zoning this back, and there's more broods on the way. Disruptors don't quite reach that, but we're going to get a good chunk of drones. If it split up a bit more, it would have been an even higher work kill count. It's a little bit sad perhaps to not quite see even more damage be done there from Cyan. And I only say it because kind of cheering on the underdogs, right? We want the underdogs to get back into this, make the comeback happen, you know? That's what I'm cheering for at the moment as units move through. Stalker's just going to blink in. A couple of Broodlords getting picked away at. Storm's going down. A lot of Broodlings getting chipped away right now. Stalker's getting picked off, and Scarlett trying to build a hatch over to the far right-hand side, so getting that up and running. DTs continue to be dealt with. Scarlett about 116 army supply, now 108. Means that Cyan sitting at 110 takes that lead for a few moments, and again, that's just how close it is. The back and forth supply swinging one player's favor, then the other, moment after moment. Again, it feels like Cyan's been all in on this army for a while, and he's not quite broken through, which feels like Scarlett then should have been able to do okay, but of course now her economy is not quite what it once was. And she's also starting to, I suppose, struggle on base. Remember, she was on a very high drone count for a while, so it does mean that a lot of her bases will be well on the way to mining out. This is probably, I mean, that's like the entire probe line of the game for Cyan. He loses 19 probes, had 9 remaining after 4, or I think 3 just finished up as I was mid-sentence. The Broods are just so good at pushing this back. If there was something of a more proper answer for the Broodlords, then Cyan might be okay still. I think the Broodlords getting out really changed what Cyan could do. Again, he just can't really get those disruptor shots off and really start finding damage because the Broods just zone him out basically the entire time, making it extremely difficult. As he is now running, the Broods continue to give chase, dropping down another disruptor falls, and yeah, these Broods actually getting some pretty good value shots off right now. A couple more Broodlings going to fire out at an Archon. Not sure if that'll ever die because we looked away from it. We moved away, moved on. Sus is going to come charging forward, and a couple of Lurkers getting shot at. Hydra's going through. We get rid of that Observer. And now we're just going to see the rest of this force from Cyan out down on this bottom side. Going to back in. I'll get back into play once more here. Army is Cyan up through the middle of the map. The Infestors continuing through. That fungal growth, or pathogen glands coming through from the Infestors, allows for fungal growth more quickly. Allows for obviously neural parasites potentially. A few Hydra's kind of getting caught. I mean, nice position here from Cyan. The one thing he does have is the ability to move around against those Broods, which are a lot less mobile. If this eventually just becomes a Broodlord army, which is kind of what we're on our way to, and there's only 2 Hydras left, 3 Lurkers, a Viper, a Corruptor, a Ling, and then it's Broodlords. And Broodlords obviously, again, very immobile, and yeah, maybe that's where Cyan can still win this out. Again, this army, I would love to see some of the kill counts on some of these units. Maybe they've shown them and I just wasn't checking or paying attention at the time. Honestly, one of the disadvantages of not being in game, we can't just check on the fly, but that was a great disruptor shot, by the way. Got 2 Infestors. Yeah, these Voids are just going to start going after Broods. And I mean, you can fungal the Voids for a while, but if you fungal them forever, probably not. Broodlings do get a shot off. I mean, this is what you need right now, though, as Cyan. You can see what he's building, Voids. He knows the Voids are the way to kind of win this because of the position that Scarlett is in. She doesn't really have the luxury of being able to deal with Void Rays, unfortunately. Like, she really does not. It's going to make this rather difficult to bounce back from, I feel like. Kind of crazy. What a game that we're ending up getting here is into one of Scarlett's Cyan game 3 of this overall best of 7. Like I say, Scarlett's now getting some more Corruptors up, so she is starting to find herself the answer to those, to those the Void Rays that were obviously looking to be the answer to the Brood Lords. I got myself mixed up in my head there. Definitely making some big progress right now. Is, well, like I say, it's just kind of wild that Cyan's been so almost, like I say, all in for such a long time. Usually if you're all in right then and there, but it's just not quite been working like that in this game so far. So we can get a few changelings picked off as well. Always nice to remove those from the equation, get rid of those already. Scarlett is also establishing bases on the right side, and that's really big for her because that's economy she's not really been able to tap into before now. But now that she is going to be able to tap into it, that helps out a lot. Just extra money means you might actually start amassing this army again. For the longest time, it's been within like 5% army supply. Now she's back at being about 40 army supply ahead of game. So, yeah, really nice to be able to kind of start moving back with that. You'll see those broods still coming around over to the left side, looking to try and get a push. I mean, like I say, it's just starting to be so much more from Scarlett here. The problem is, for a long time, she had bases or the worker lead, but not quite the base to get from. And obviously, Cyan was moving in a very good way to deny a lot of the bases and stuff. Now, Scarlett is the one that just has that substantial lead and is able to start really doing something with this. GG's from Cyan. This game cannot go on any longer, unfortunately. And that is going to be Scarlett winning out in the end. Does take the Shopify Rebellion to a 3-0 lead. But Cyan was in that for a long time. I know, he definitely at the tail end was, lagging it behind. But he was absolutely competitive until the very end there, too. Go for more games. Top right corner of the map, our blue Zerg player from the Shopify Rebellion is Scarlett. Must be doing a hell of an intro on the Chinese stream. They were just zoomed in on her for an eternity. Bottom left, our red Protoss player, Chinese player, of course, Cyan from Good Game Gaming. Thanks for dropping by today, guys. No ESL's on. DreamHack is on, sorry. So, I know DreamHack is on, but obviously we're trying to sneak some streams in where we can. We can't just be completely offline for 2 weeks, even if I'm working DreamHack. So we will cover what we can of World Team League today, tomorrow, and the day after. I'm actually not available next weekend though, so next weekend we'll not have World Team League, but yeah, we'll deal with that when it comes to it. Nexus goes down from Cyan on the natural. Obviously nothing too wild just yet. GK pretty standard map as well, not like this is something where you're like, oh my god, he's maybe got a crazy plan. It's not too short, it's not too large. It's just a very comfortable map to play on. It's kind of like a more it's like a little bit of a smaller version of Blood Ring, so if he likes how it went last game, then he can do a lot of the same now, just without having as much movement between bases needed, and that generally benefits the Protoss over the Zerg. Because then as the Protoss player, you're able to rotate through those bases much more quickly. I mean, that's true of the Zerg army as well. They're they are obviously just kind of going to be benefits on either side, but yeah. A little choice. I like seeing this over like Akira's, where it's just like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna like glaive Adept Attack and see what happens. I feel like this kind of makes me believe he's kind of feeling some more confident in a longer macro kind of sort of game. Might have to be more careful of Scarlett being aggressive on this map than he did on Glittering though, because obviously again, a little bit smaller, a little bit easier for Scarlett to maybe do something that just tries to end the game quickly. Don't mind me. Just out here burning my tongue on my cup of tea. As we do have a Void Ray starting up. It's already different to the last game where we started with the Oracles. Big difference to the last game, to be fair. Interested to see what comes of this then. Void Ray number 2 starting up as well from Cyan. Is he just going to play straight up Stargates then? Extra Stargates, plays full on into those Void Rays? Ground Army later in the game? Or maybe even just straight up Carrier. Straight up Carrier is very risky on this map. I feel like if you go straight up Carrier, Scarlett just comes across the map and kills you with a push. But happy to see what Cyan believes is best to do. We'll see what his choice is. Moment or so here and we'll be able to really discern. Okay, so he actually goes for a Twilight Council very quickly. But he's still building Void Rays. Okay, so what does this become? Did he finish the second Void Ray? Or did he cancel the second Void Ray, build a Twilight, and now he's rebuilding? Because the third Void Ray here has me really questioning what's going on. I think it feels like it's only one Void Ray right now, no? And that's now it's building a second Void Ray, so he must have cancelled the second one initially and then gone back to it. He's going to start Glaives, so kind of what I expect. I mean, it kind of feels like the extra Void Ray is a bit of a fake out, right? You know, it's like, oh, I've got a second Void Ray. You know, be worried about that. And it's like, actually, there's no reason to worry about it because I'm actually going Glaives. It's not as serious a commitment as I wanted you to believe. Good depth moving forward, and I'm going to start getting rid of some of these drones. 2 drones going down. That will be it at the moment, as the Queen's able to deal with that very easily so far. Those Voids just in the center. And the Ling is going to come through, and the Adepts will start pulling back a little further as well. Grabbing that Overlord. It's going to be seeing the Voids do get chased away by the Queens once more, so far, so good. +1 air weapons on the way on the Cybercore. The Resonating Glaives is about to finish. Those Void Rays picking through the Lings pretty quickly there as these Adepts come all the way around through the top side of the map. The couple of Voids are... You have to be careful as the Queens are there to push the Voids away. Adepts coming through, just going to be seeing these Lings getting picked away at. Queen in some trouble, of course, is taking some damage as the Voids continue to get chased out through the top side. That's going to be seeing the Adepts shading back through, so... Yeah, I mean, a couple of drones going down so far, but I would honestly say that for the most part, it's a pretty good defense from Scarlett. As long as she doesn't let, like, an extra wave of Adepts into a mineral line, they start really racking up, like, a lot more work kills. This honestly feels like where the majority of the weight are being held, so... Yeah, it looks like this one is not really going Cyan's way. And again, if Scarlett wins this map, this series is over. We still play maps 5 and 6, but I think Good Game Gaming have no chance of a victory today. So, obviously, map score, we've talked about this a lot, but map score still does have a little bit of importance and so on. So there's still a little bit of something to be thinking of there, but generally, it is just going to be kind of a done deal. Scarlett does opt to just go to 83 drones. She could have, if she wanted to, just kind of maybe build a bunch of units and just gone for it, but yeah, she's got that Spire on the way. I think she's afraid that there's a lot more Voids behind this. Let's see what Scarlett makes. Me. It feels like she's about to make... Is she going to make Mutas? I like it a lot if she makes Mutas, I think. If she makes Corruptors, then I'm worried because you're making Corruptors into basically only 2 Void Rays. Yeah, I like the Mutas a lot more because they can deal with the 2 Void Rays. And they can do a lot of harassing and a lot of, you know, put a lot of work in beyond that as well. So, I think that's definitely the right idea for now. I like that choice. We'll see how Void Ray's moving around the top side, seeing if there's anything to be done over there, but not really just yet. Let's see how Stalkers continue to come back through and just trying to make a little bit extra happen, but still not really a lot going down just yet. Just not really making much progress. Scarlett's going to have the meters now hitting across the map, and Cyan was completely unaware. So, all things considered, Cyan attack is A, going to get denied, and B, he's losing a crap ton of probes as these meters are going to reign supreme. And yeah, I mean, this was an adept attack that really just didn't do enough. So he was already going to be a little bit behind no matter what. But now he's being caught off guard. Yeah, okay, a lot of Stalkers here. Maybe you turn away from that, but 27 dead probes. Cyan is almost half the supply of Scarlett. And Scarlett there kind of clicked the Nexus, but honestly should just be going after probes, right? She can basically kill an endless amount of probes at the moment, so as long as she can do that, she should be feeling pretty good about her position in this game. Just continue back down to the main. 36 probes killed overall, so Cyan is at half the worker count. It's just going to be rough because he's going to continue losing workers as long as these meters are alive. It's not like the last game where he dropped to a low worker count, but there wasn't much more harassment after that. He was able to stabilize. Because this game he's not going to be able to stabilize at all. Scarlett is going to, with slow banelings, waddle towards this base. Well, I can tell you right now, the slow banes are not the most ideal way of fighting a Protoss army, but waddle, waddle, and away they go. It's the waddle of doom. They're going to waddle into you and kill you. Stalkers are going to blink, and they're going to waddle even slower. It's the slowest march of death I've ever seen. Oh my god, there's more. They're actually low-key terrifying. You know how terrifying it is when someone's like, I've got so many slow banelings that I can just walk them into you without caring. Low-key terrifying seeing all those Banes waddle forward. Scarlett gets the 4-0 guaranteed for the Shopify Rebellion with the 2-0 over Cyan. Very comfortably done. Like I say, looked like a pretty convincing series from her. For the most part, that second game obviously did have a cool little bit of back and forth in it, but the first best 7 a day, a little sad because I felt like the games in Alpha X versus GP were very fun, but yeah, we won't quite be able to catch that live. I might get the replays at some point and cast those. Harstem is bottom right and Dream is top left if we play on Curious Minds. Great map to start off on for Dream at least, so we'll see what he can do with that. Just want to say thank you to Subsola on that 14-month resub during the break as well. Thank you so much for the resub. Welcome back and appreciate it if you guys are enjoying the stream. And don't forget to check your primes and drop them if you've got one going spare. Obviously, it is DreamHack month, which means we don't get to stream as much, so I'm sorry for that, but honestly, it's great if we can try and keep the stream as healthy as possible during this time. So if you do have your sub to spare, it counts now more than ever. Just because, yeah, DreamHack means we can't stream a lot. It's not that I don't want to stream, it's just I'm literally on the DreamHack broadcast for like, you know, 9 hours a day or something, so we do what we can. Hoping for a good series here. Obviously, the 4-0 is confirmed for Shopify. We play maps 5 and 6 anyway, and that means we do get to see Harstem taking Dream on. Dream can be very scary. I actually feel like these two have a cool style against each other. Harstem often finds himself in some of those later game PvTs, and I always think that's very fun to watch play out. And yeah, especially against someone like Dream, who can be just overall a very scary player as well, right? You know, he's one of these players that just has a lot of potential, just always kind of comfortable, kind of playing long games too, can be tricky in the early game. This feels like someone who can, like I say, really put up a good match against Harstem here. And yeah, I do feel like these guys, their kind of styles do clash together nicely to maybe give us some entertaining games of StarCraft 2 to round out the Shopify Rebellion and Good Game Gaming Best of 7. Well, just gonna be getting set up and seeing where we can take this early on here. Nothing immediately too crazy happening. We've got ourselves a Warp Gate start, a Stalker opening, an Adept to start off with. It is going to be a Reactor and then a Factory. The CC didn't come down too early, didn't come down too late, so again, nothing to really go, you know, shouting about again, concerned about. Nothing to get riled up about, at least. Just kind of continue through and wait to see where exactly this all ends up. Depth trying to shade up there. Just going to hit the wall off, so can't really do all too much. Sentry's on the way. Warp gate's still building. Just going to see this probe coming forward, and it's going to be dropping down a cheeky little pylon as well. So here goes the pylon, and away we go. Continuing to set up into this. Just going to be seeing the 2 Hellions on the way, and that means the stream will be trying to be aggressive early, right? Trying to get a bit of a Hellion drop started up, and that's exactly how we see him taking this. So nothing too surprising or anything. As like I say, we just go, go, go. See where we arrive at. Now, Harstem plays a Robo as his tech choice. It's always fun to see Harstem. I mean, he's one of the few players that plays this Robo, like, a lot. Robo means you gotta really not take damage early, though, because you don't have a good way of really dealing damage yourself a lot of the time. I guess maybe a Prism. These Stalkers really need to defend these Hellions well, and these Hellions are a little bit stuck in here. And the problem is, if you lift, this Medevac's almost definitely going down. 7 probes, 8. 8 probes is obviously not great to lose, but it's very manageable as well, I would say. You know, it's that sort of borderline amount of damage where you're like, you know what, this is kind of okay, this is kind of fine. It's whatever. We just kind of get on with our days and move on to the next one. Gee, even more Hellions though coming back in, and that's going to be annoying because this is going to be extra probes that Harstem wasn't expecting to deal with. Hence his counterattack. His counterattack has a lot of potential as well because, well, his opponent's only really been building Hellions this far, and especially these extra 2. They hurt a lot. Let's see, this bunker initially is going to be repaired. Harstem just doesn't have the firepower at the moment to work his way through that, though. A little unfortunate as we do begin to get set up. Again, 11 probes at the moment going down. Going to be seeing the probe production continue through on that Nexus. It feels like now Harstem's in a lot of trouble because his counterattack just really doesn't deliver, and really just needed so much more from it to really be able to just stand up here and be like, yes, this is, you know, I am Harstem, I am powerful, I will kill. Just didn't really have that kind of power to it, did it? Now, he's going to be in a tough spot because, like I say, now with only a Robo opening, that's in this weird place where you don't really have much kind of aggression you can do. You can maybe bring the Prism across the map, but that is really about it. Like, you're just so limited in your choices here. Yeah, a little bit rough. Let's see if Harstem can figure a way out of what I do believe is a pretty troubling position. If any man can find a way, I'm sure it would be Harstem. He's a man of many talents. See, Medevac still moving around that right side. Don't find too much just yet. That's how Scan gets rid of an observer too, so now Harstem is not only playing without tech, but he's also playing kind of blind. That's the other advantage you kind of get from the Robo. You get observers, but if you're losing those observers, then again your advantage is being taken away from you. He's going to go charge right away, but that means he's playing without blink, so he doesn't have a good drop defense, so drops, even just small ones, can be very frustrating to deal with here too. It might just lead to him getting picked apart completely, so yeah, there's a lot of scare factor right now for Harstem as this attacker dream comes across, and of course don't forget this is also Curious Minds. Short map, so quick and easy for this Terran army to make its way from one side of the map to the other. And that is exactly what it is currently doing. It is on the march. It is on the hunt to try and get in position and make something happen. A few Zealots will begin to unload and begin to look for some damage here. Meanwhile, this Stalker force trying to fight back. A few Marines unloading in the main base, and the Stalkers still getting chipped away at. A few Zealots trying to run through. Not doing too much. That Robo facility is going to be going down shortly as well. And these few Marines is going to continue forward, and a lot of probes will continue taking a lot of damage. Fire Force is continuing to pull back. A few Zealots again on top of siege tanks. Harstem, no choice really but to type GG. I mean, he's just not going to find a victory here. And sometimes, I mean, I say it as though he had a choice, but yeah, it was just time to move into the next game already. Let's be kind of just realistic. GG's. Yeah, hell. is Harstem in the top right-hand corner of the map, and in the bottom left, our red Terran player is Dream. Shopify Rebellion's Harstem, Good Game Gaming's Dream, of course. It is the World Team League. Those are the teams that these guys represent in this match, which is already won by the Shopify Rebellion, just playing for some map score. And when you talk about map score, it's getting important actually for the Good Game Gaming squad. They're 1-3 after today's results. Their single win so far this season coming in week 1 against the Hungry Camels, SSLT, one of the newer teams in the league, and I think many would probably consider as well one of the weakest teams in the league currently. So, not really an ideal team to have your only win against. Shopify Rebellion 3-1, so the complete opposite end of the spectrum. They currently, Shopify Rebellion, even after today, seemingly will sit at the lower. Well, actually, no, their map score is going to be pretty good after today as well. Yeah, they'll start taking over some other teams there. A loss came from Kaisi Gaming in week 2. Obviously, with Reno on the team, Kaisi Gaming is a powered-up force this season, no doubt about it, and is definitely one to be, definitely a team to be worried about. They have a lot, and I mean a lot of potential. So, yeah, Shopify Rebellion looking great in the league so far, and yeah. Are the Korean regionals being assigned after DreamHack? It's gonna be not, well, I had a plan, and I still have a plan. I just need to remember what the plan was. It's gonna be before DreamHack ends. I just need to double check when exactly that is. I think it's like not next week, but actually the week after maybe, because that's the week where I think next week is. The week after is the week where there's only Europe and NA, so actually we can stream the regionals on some days and actually kind of get them without clashing with DreamHack, and I think that's the plan. So, yeah, not next week, but the week after should be the Korean regionals. I haven't had time to check it out and set up, because obviously I ended up working a lot more DreamHack days this week than I originally thought I was going to. It was originally scheduled to cast only on Saturday, and then I got asked to do the entire week of hosting. Yeah, the last 2 days, today and Sunday, are all days I wasn't initially expecting to work this week. But we don't say no to a good bit of StarCraft work, whether it shows up late or not, so take what we're given, you know. Probe at the front, gonna get turned around by a Lone Marine. 2 Reapers now on the way up from Dreams. That's gonna become the choice here. That Stargate is about to complete from Harstem, and the Adept will shade on by. 3rd CC is already on the way up in the main base, as we actually do have the Harstem Adept just going to get a little scout off there initially, and just sees the reactor on the barracks. At least you know it's not a reactor on a factory, so you know it's not Hellions this time around. And with double Reaper at delayed point can be kind of scary, because obviously if you're playing or setting up against Reapers at the time you're usually expecting to play against Reapers at, then obviously that's not ideal, because now you're not prepared, now you're not defended, and these Reapers can actually get in and do a whole bunch more damage than what you would initially expect them to. And that's kind of the power of playing this delayed. You might be like, well, what's the point of 100 gas of Reapers now? Well, actually, it's stronger than 2 Reapers usually would be. As, oh, nice from the Adept. He is not going to commit in, so I don't believe he saw the second racks. Because now we're going to realize, oh, you've been building Reapers. And yep, 3 kills already. It's just going to be one Reaper going down, and the other gets into the base. However, here comes the Oracle. Not a lot of anti-air available, so Harstem will get some SCVs in return. He will bounce back, and he will deal some damage himself this time. And that's really nicely done. So yeah, good on Harstem. Does find a way to get back in this a little bit after taking some damage from those Reapers. This is actually great for him. Puts him into a great little spot, as he killed 6 SCVs in total. Now, 6 SCVs is quite sizable, and it really does put Dream down 11 workers, which is just more than you expect at this stage. Those Stalkers can't quite grab the Reaper as it leaves. That's okay. It's not the end of the world that 1 Reaper survives. It would have been nice to remove a little bit more map control from Dream, make him send out other units to try and pick that information up. Oracle dives in and gets a couple more Marines. So this Oracle has turned out to be quite the MVP so far. Is delivering for sure up until this point. So yeah, Oracle putting in some serious work so far. Reaper back up around the top. Just going to be seeing that blink. Going to be finishing shortly. Extra gates coming through. Next coming in. Oracle is there. Just going to pop. Get rid of that Reaper. So there's a little bit of Oracle energy that wouldn't have had to be spent if we'd initially just been able to kill that Reaper. But like I say, absolutely not the end of the world. Absolutely fine to expend a little bit of energy right there. See the Marines get there, and that Oracle's going to get pushed away immediately as well, so that gets turned around. These Stalkers just sitting at the front, they have their blink, and gotta love how much map control Harstem has given himself here. You know, he's really in a position where, yeah, map control is looking fantastic for him. He has all the control he could possibly want. Actually, just looking at it all together, I gotta say I like it a lot for Harstem at the moment. Feels like he's put himself, like I say, in a great spot. Like where he's at for now. See if that's something he can keep on up. We've seen the setup from Dream as he moves into tanks. We'll see if he at any point can find a way to get across the map. I mean, it's rough. There's Revelation hits, so the Medivacs can't go loading up units as he might have wanted to, so that's not exactly ideal. It's actually pretty rough right now. These two Stalkers move in, but going to quickly find themselves pushed away. And, like I say, unable to really find much. Still just trying to fight, but yeah, okay, the Bioforce pushes this back, but Harstem knows it's coming. This is exactly what these Stalkers are meant to do, and look at all the Zealots he's built. 9 Zealots just warped in. He's got a huge army. If Dream actually pushed, he would be really kind of pushing to his own death, I think. Now that he doesn't push, Harstem will at least have to fight into Dream, and that maybe makes it a good enough fight for Dream that it's something he can survive and make the most of. So, taking that as a positive right now. All of these Zealots coming down. Let's see if they're just going to be enough to overwhelm here. As we are going to see the Stalkers catching Medivacs immediately. I mean, not a bad start at all. This Terran army needs to try and sim City or something. I mean, it's stimmed now with no healing available, so that's obviously not ideal either. Jeez, are we actually just kind of dead here? We might just be. Stalkers blink in. We're going to get a siege tank right away. The few Zealots on the top side. Okay, a little bit unfortunate. Those few Zealots on the top side, I believe, probably could have had the tank if the other Zealots had committed on the bottom. Because if the Zealots commit on the bottom, a lot of the Bio would have fired at those bottom Zealots instead of the top ones, so then maybe the tank goes down. I feel like now it's a little unfortunate because Harstem doesn't quite have that flanking effect any longer. But yeah, maybe just, I mean, obviously if Harstem didn't think that was the fight, then that wasn't the fight, but yeah, now we do have that wall up at least on the top side, so Harstem has to attack him from the right, and then Dream can play much more around that. So he's better set up now than he was a few moments ago. We'll see if that comes into effect at all. Anyone else dropping frames, or is it just you guys? I don't have anything going wrong with my stream, so either it's a Twitch thing, or it's coming off the clean feed, but the clean feed looks kind of fine to me, and if it looks fine to me, it should look fine to you guys. So let me know if it continues. I can try and look into it further, but I only say it because we did drop some frames yesterday, so it's possible that there is maybe some sort of an issue somewhere, but yeah, let me know. You guys do just see the Harstem army getting more and more powerful as Colossi are added in. Is this really a time where we want to fight though, Harstem? He gives up a couple of Zealots to basically blink in for a single Medivac. He is scaring Dream to stay on 3 bases as well, so that is another little bonus right here, keeping Dream on just 3 bases instead of, you know, allowing him to get to base number 4 already. And yeah, as more Colossi come online, Dream is moving into Ghost, but he will not have an immediate answer to like 4 Colossus. Like, EMPs are good. Excuse me, I got hiccups. EMPs are good to have. But to be able to find like 4 Colossi that are just sat behind gateway units and fire, I mean, that's still going to be rough unless you get like really just great EMPs and a great launch into the fight. So not quite convinced just yet as we see the Bioforce going to grab an Oracle on the left-hand side too. It's just going to be able to pick that off as well. Drop frames then played fast to catch up. That sounds like more of a Twitch issue, or like Twitch is lagging on your end than my end. Because if it plays fast forward to catch up, that's not something that's... Then it's not an issue of like me sending the info to Twitch, because the info was there, right? It's Twitch sending the info to you. I know that sounds weird, but yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Twitch is just having a field day, just being a bit wonky. Anyways, Harstem has Zealots in the natural expansion and is starting to get some damage done. Don't know why we're watching just the Prism. Okay, there is a drop of Dream to the top side as well, by the way, so keep your eyes on that. This Prism will die. Maybe not the greatest moment to just go diving in. Harstem's army left side comes through. Looks like Harstem has spotted this drop or attack moving across the map. He dropped a single force field to buy some extra time. Now he's going to attempt to recall. We will lose the pylon that's powering the robo. Oh, there's another pylon powering the robo as well. So he empowers a couple of gates, but nothing much more than that. So that's not too bad. As the Zealots come in from multiple sides, can we get rid of the medevac, stop a true escape on this army? I think we should be able to. If we want to, we can absolutely blink to chase that down the rest of the way. And that is going to be that medevac. And all these bio units falling. Dream at least trying to make something happen with this composition. He's, saying, okay, I'm losing those units top left, but you're moving over there to deal with that. Let me try to do something over here. Oh my god, the Marines killed the pylon and just moved forward naturally. And meant that the Disruptor shot ended up whiffing there a little bit. A little bit unfortunate timing for Harstem, because honestly, it wasn't Dream paying attention to those Marines. Those Marines were just A-clicked. They killed the pylon, and then they continued down south, A-clicking further along. Yeah, that was just a little bit unlucky for Harstem, but not the end of the world. It would have only been, what, like 5 Marines or so? Very manageable amount of Marines as Dream. Down a lot of supply right now. Harstem again just looking to give Shopify Rebellion this 5-1 victory if he can. Up 40 supply in total. A good amount in workers, about 40 in army supply as well, actually. So he's up more than 40 army supply overall now, more like 50. As we come attacking in, and this is just going to be this planetary fortress in a lot of trouble. Oh, there's a Disruptor shot into the mineral line. It's big because obviously everything is just clumped up over here, and we've even got carriers now to join the fray. And this really does look as though we have got ourselves a W coming through very soon here for Harstem, especially with these carriers. Going to make it tough. It's going to, interceptors are going to force a lot of stuff to be shooting at those rather than at the gateway support or anything. So we just move through with these disruptors, helping us to create the engagement. Disruptor shot hits the base of it. We blinked some stalkers into their death. What they did do was they killed off a siege tank, as we're going to use disruptors to try and disengage. We have enough shots to disengage fully. Harstem doesn't maybe have the support he needs for this army. I feel like the other problem is, of course, this Terran army is such low HP, though. If it does turn and fight, the Protoss force can do pretty well against it. The Disruptor shot leading that fight was obviously absolutely massive as well, so that's a big part of the reason Harstem continues through comfortably there. And this is looking to be a Harstem absolute genuine lead now. I mean, it was a lead before, but it's just getting better for him. He keeps that army alive, or at least a good part of it, while trading even better against the Terran. And now his reinforcements get here. EMP goes off the start. We don't quite get rid of those tanks. And those tanks are kind of a good kind of baseline of the defense right now from Dream. If it wasn't for those tanks, he might have already been dead. But they are the one thing that's just slowing Harstem down from advancing fully into this position. And really just closing this out and cleaning this up. We've seen the carriers going to fire through. A few interceptors going to be coming in. And he's going to launch into this fight. I mean, definitely fighting through some difficult spots, blowing up his own Zealots with the Disruptors. Harstem is a fair man. He wants to make sure his opponent has a chance. And as you do see, the Disruptor shots continue to come through. Trying to do as much as possible here as the Ghost Academy looking to drop down dead. Obviously, no more Ghosts to be added to production, although I'm not sure how much Dream was looking to build Ghosts of all things in this current moment. Move down to the bottom side. Another couple of Disruptor shots coming out. Big connections in as the interceptors fly on through. Ghosts are being picked away at still. That's going to be GG's. Harstem is going to take this 1-1 against Dream. Good fight from him here on Glitter and Ashes, and this was the kind of game I was kind of preluding a little bit when I was talking about these two initially. Said they match up well against each other. This was the kind of game I was expecting to see. You guys can follow the World Team League on Twitter if you'd like. So that was the kind of game I was expecting to see, and obviously we just didn't quite get it because game